It is because of mothers that we're all here today, by the way, in case you forgot. They are the source of life. So we just want to honor you this morning. Before we get into the honoring you part, just wanted to remind everybody of our mission and our purpose. The more that it seems like I remind us, the more it's at the forefront of our minds. And when something comes up, it's just natural because we see it as our purpose and our mission. So outfitting the body to reach the searching is our mission statement. Part of what we're going to do this morning is outfit you to understand what God's plan is for your life so you can go out into the world and be a witness for Jesus Christ. Okay? Our purpose is fivefold, as I've been saying. It's fellowship, discipleship, worship, ministry, and evangelism. And a fellowship is building a supportive community where believers can grow in their faith. And discipleship is guiding individuals in spiritual growth and maturity, helping them understand their faith deeply. Worship is more than just singing. It's connecting people with God's presence through a lifestyle of devotion. And that is that spiritual act of worship we read about in Romans 12:1. Ministry is reflecting Christ's love through action by serving others, both inside and outside the church. And we just had an opportunity to do that last weekend. I think I talked about this last Sunday as well. But just being able to serve our community, people in our community. And we have a couple of projects that I think are coming up here pretty soon. We're not going to do that once a year. If it's going to be a part of what we do in our purpose, it's going to be do something we do all year long. So I'm going to be working with Stephen especially. He's just kind of has his finger on the pulse of the needs in the community because of how well connected he is through his ministry, his and Jennifer's ministry. So just be on the lookout for more opportunities to minister to others inside and out the church. Evangelism is intentionally sharing with others the message of hope that we have in Jesus through genuine relationships. So if you saw me pause a second ago, there's some weird, I don't know what. So I copied and pasted something, and it's just an interesting font on my screen. So hopefully it all makes sense. We're relying on technology to do things. So I want to give a tribute to the mothers. And even in that phrase, mother, that could be taken a lot of different ways. And so I just want to read this is something Joanna sent me and thought it would bless you ladies today. So, bless you today for whichever category you find yourself in today. To those who gave birth this year to their first child, we celebrate you. To those who lost a child this year, golly, we mourn with you. To those who are in the trenches with little ones every day and wear the badge of food stains, we appreciate you. To those who experience loss through miscarriage, failed adoptions, or running away, we mourn with you. I may need 3 cups today, I don't know. To those who walk the hard path of infertility, fraught with pokes, prods, tears, and disappointment, we walk with you. Forgive us when we say foolish things. We don't mean to make this harder than it is. To those who are foster moms, mentor moms, and spiritual moms, we need you. Good grief. I thought preaching was hard. Reading this is, whew. To those who have warm and close relationships with their children, we celebrate you. To those who have disappointment, heartache, and distance with your children, we sit with you. To those who lost their mothers this year, we grieve with you. To those who experienced abuse at the hands of your own mother, we acknowledge your experience. To those who lived through driving tests and medical tests and the overall testing of motherhood, we are better for having you in our midst. To those who are single and long to be married and mothering your own children, we mourn that life has not turned out the way you longed for it to be. To those who step-parent, we walk with you on these complex paths. To those who envisioned lavishing love on grandchildren, yet that dream is not to be, we grieve with you. To those who have emptier nests in the upcoming year, we grieve and rejoice with you. To those who place children up for adoption, it's not a category we often think of. We commend you for your selflessness and remember how you hold that child in your heart. To those who are pregnant with new life, who both expected and surprising, we anticipate with you. This Mother's Day, we walk with you. Mothering is not for the faint of heart, and we have real warriors in our midst. We remember you. Sorry, that last lump was hard going down. Today, as I thought about what I would share on Mother's Day, because we're doing the youth service on Wednesday, God just laid Proverbs 31 on my heart. It's a chapter for most women. If you know biblical scripture and what it says about godly womanhood, that is usually the first thing that will pop into your mind. But I want to take a look at what godly womanhood looks like. It's going to focus a lot of it on referring to the woman as a wife. But there are verses in here that talk about motherhood as well. I think the thing that I wanted to focus on, if you'll permit me, is the life that women can bring, since life does come from them, and how their lives impact all of our lives. Hopefully you will see aspects of your own mother and or wife in these verses today. Make note of them. Those of you who are here, make note. If God says, this is your mom, make note and call her, as I need to do today, to my own mom, and just express your appreciation. If you find yourself struggling with your own mom in these verses, I still want to encourage you to ask the Lord how you can honor your mother today, regardless of her possible flaws or failures. God calls us in Exodus 20, verse 12, to honor our fathers and mothers. And it doesn't say that if they deserve it or if they did everything perfect. It says honor them. Honor your father and mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. So find a way to honor them, and especially your mom today. We'll be focusing on the last part of Proverbs 31. So if you want to go ahead and turn in your Bibles over to Proverbs 31 or in your phones, the verses will be up on the screen as well. The interesting thing about this last portion, or really Proverbs 31, is there's King Lemuel. And this last chapter is really spoken from his mother's perspective about the qualities of a virtuous woman. So as she's writing this out, she's really telling her son, this is what you should look for in a queen, which I find interesting. The following verses speak to her character, her activity, giving Lemuel an idea of the woman to search for and to prize. This passage is traditionally understood as being addressed to women, but is more accurately spoken by a woman to a man, so he could know the character and potential character of a good wife before marriage and value and praise his wife for her virtuous character once married. It is primarily a search list, really, for a man, and only secondary a checklist for a woman. So let's look at starting in verse 10. An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. So just that first statement there, an excellent wife, who can find? I'd venture to say an excellent mom as well. One of the best ways that a wife can parent her children and teach them the role of a godly woman is to love her husband, to build into his life and be invaluable to him. The word here for excellent is also understood to mean virtuous, valiant, and worthy. These women are hard to find these days. Men, if you have one, you know it. Women, if you are one, you'd never brag about it. Virtuous women are a force to be reckoned with, but not in an obnoxious way. They live their lives oftentimes in quiet moments of discernment, always assessing life and what needs to happen, what needs to shift or change. Ross says this: the vocabulary and the expressions in general have the ring of an ode of a champion. So when it says excellent and virtuous, valiant, those are the same words that God uses as he writes other scriptures about men being men of valor. So it's not just men that can be valiant. It's women as well. What this woman did not simply fall to her. It is her victory through wisdom, her hard-won reward. Coming at the end of the collection of Proverbs, one might say that this is a strong woman, and her greatest strength is her wisdom, rooted in the fear of the Lord. This is the life of a helper that is more precious than jewels. The woman who is virtuous and found to be described as precious allows her husband's heart to be trusting in her. The woman who brings so much value to everyone around her can't help but be trusted by the one she is closest to. The interesting thing is that there is a byproduct of a wife of this kind, and the benefit is for her husband. And verse 11 says that he will have no lack of gain. In other words, wives, husbands, this is not a contractual relationship that we live in. It is a covenant relationship. We are one. And everything that I do for Joanna is either going to build her up and just make her flourish, or it's going to tear her down. And the same goes for the wife. She does him good and not harm is one of the passages that I read. Several previous Proverbs explained the bad effect of a bad wife. The opposite is also true. The virtuous wife does her husband good and not harm. She continues being a blessing all the days of her life. The sense is that her goodness and faithful character becomes deeper and greater through the passing years. Let's keep reading in verse 13. And some of this, by the way, for our modern day ladies, some of it may sound familiar, especially those who are seamstresses. Looking at Sherry. But there's a lot that women did back in the day to be prosperous, to be hardworking. It looks a lot different these days. But look what it says here in verse 13. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. There's a lot to unpack here. Using wonderful images here, King Lemuel's mother described not the resume of a godly woman, but lifelike examples of the busy, hardworking, and creative character of a virtuous wife. A woman who felt burdened to complete each of these tasks, either in a day, a week, or a month, would be exhausted and probably discouraged at times, yet the character described can be evident in a wise and godly woman's life in its own way. The virtuous wife is not proud or haughty and does not think that working with her hands is beneath her. She works in simple and practical ways for her family and home. For example, Garrett makes note of this. In an age long before the Industrial Revolution, women had to work at spinning wool and making clothes in every spare moment. Fidelity in this labor is a mark of feminine virtue. Another theologian says this is yet what sets this virtuous wife apart is that she willingly works, and all her children is a cheerful service. All her labor, is a cheerful service. Her will, her heart is in it. Keep in mind that it wasn't uncommon for many families in biblical times to have servants or hired workers. It mentioned maidens, right? The virtuous wife wisely manages and cares for these maidens, showing her compassion and care even beyond her immediate family. The virtuous wife is also forward-thinking, combining her creativity with hard work. As she considers, this word considers, what to invest in and use the fruit of her hands to better her family and her future. And in this case, by planting a vineyard. Next, the mother of Lemuel moves to strength and compassion. In verse 17, it says, she dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. I'm going to brag on my wife for just a second. She just took it upon herself to go find some dumbbells and just start and just start doing some curls. And we were remodeling our laundry room, and I need to get the washer back into the laundry room, and she got under it and like helped me lift it up into the laundry. She's getting strong. Anyway, she's gonna get me for that later, but so she dresses herself with strength. She makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. Now, Joanna has timers on some of our lamps. They didn't have those back then. And it was a bad thing to run out of oil back in the day. We'll look at what that means here in a minute. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She takes care of her own health and strength, not only by means of useful labor, but by healthy exercise. She avoids what might enervate. This is from another theologian, so that's not a word I use. Her body or soften her mind. She is her active and girt strength, girding, like girding your loins as part of the spiritual armor, ready for every necessary exercise. Her loins are firm and her arms strong. By the way, loins, we don't think of loins. That's the back muscles is what is meant when it says loins there. She is wise and experienced enough to make sure that she buys enough oil for her lamp. And if you're wondering what that means, read the parable of the 10 virgins of the wedding, where 5 have enough oil and 5 don't. Anyway, of such a quality that it burns throughout the night and does not go out. The virtuous wife knows how to use the tools and technology available to manage a home well. And this word distaff, anybody have a distaff at their house? I had to look up what it meant. It is a stick or spindle onto which wool or flax is wound when you're spinning. And she uses both hands to work well, to do the work well. The virtuous wife is much more than a skillful manager or homemaker. She is also a woman of great compassion. She cares for and helps both the poor and the needy, doing more than throwing money at them, but she actually draws near to them, and she opens her hand and reaches out to those in need. Verse 21. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known at the gates, and when he sits among the elders of the land. So this virtuous wife also has wisdom and diligence and preparation to ready her household for all kinds of challenges and adversity. Her fear of the Lord and the wisdom that flows from it invites God's blessing, and even being able to clothe all of her household with prestigious scarlet. Now, what do you think of when you hear the word scarlet? You think of red, some sort of red clothing. It was interesting as I dug into this because I'm thinking snow and scarlet, how does that make sense? It is possible that this does not describe just the color, but a garment that is doubly thick. Clark, I think it's Adam Clark, said, but the Hebrew words for scarlet, they've got a couple of them in there, signifies not only scarlet in the color, so-called from being twice or doubly dyed, but also double garments. Not only the ordinary coat, but the surtout or great coat. These are words I don't use these days. Or cloak to cover all. So most probably double garments or a twofold to what they were accustomed to wear, and all were intended. So it's interesting, you read through that and you think scarlet and it's just red. But she's doing everything. She makes preparation. It's like the mom who has a toddler in Montana and it's wintertime. She's going to make sure that they've got warm clothes to go outside in. Some moms make those. Some of them crochet them. With God's blessing on her wisdom and diligence, the wife makes good things for herself and enjoys personal marks of God's material blessing on her family. The virtuous wife sees such a blessing on her family and household that her husband is also esteemed and honored among the elders of the land. If you haven't studied Scripture, when it says meet at the gates is where all of the decisions were made. It's where agreements were made. It's where laws were passed. And so that's a huge thing that she impacts, even her husband's reputation in the land, in the city, and it carries clout. All this is a blessing from God that often comes to the wife who walks in virtue, wisdom, and most importantly, the fear of the Lord. Verse 24. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. One of the things that really was impressed upon me as I read through this, and just thinking about living in Montana, one of the things that I noticed when we moved here is that people are pretty crafty on coming up with all kinds of ways, especially our wives, of coming up with ways to make extra money. I don't know how many of you noticed that or recognize that. It's like everybody's got some sort of side deal that they're doing because they realize it takes a lot to live here and it takes a lot to bring about an income. The wisdom and diligence of the virtuous wife leads her to not only provide the necessities for her family, but she makes enough of such great quality that she sells those necessities to sellers or merchants. She cares deeply for her family, and her mind and vision go beyond them to the outside world, where she does good for herself and her family. The fact that she is willing to distribute and sell linen garments she makes and shows that her first priority isn't in what she is or has in her closet and what she wears. She cares even more about the ability to display her character, her hard work, her diligence on the outside to the whole community. When it comes to character, she is one of the best dressed, clothed with strength and honor, so that she shall rejoice, not only in the present day, but also in the time to come. So when she laughs at the days to come, she's not worried about what's going to happen, because she's following the Lord, she's fearing the Lord, and she's diligently working and trusting in him. Let's look at verse 26 and 27. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. The virtuous wife is what is often described as and valued in the book of Proverbs, wise speech and words that show the law of kindness. Both her chosen words and her spontaneous words are marked with wisdom and kindness. As a faithful guardian, the virtuous wife is observant of her family and their ways, and the choice to watch so carefully means that she does not choose to eat the bread of idleness. Here, Garrett says, here the text explicitly states that she avoids laziness. Eating the bread of idleness is idiomatic for indulging in laziness. I think this is one of the things that we have to fight against in today's economy, isn't it? Our idleness is taken up so much with, I don't know whose this is, but they must not be worried about being idle right now. They left their phone up here. But it's such a temptation. Verse 28. Her children rise up, and this is probably a verse that I choose to put in my mom's card every year. I don't think that she gets tired of it because I want her to know that we call her blessed. Her children rise up and call her blessed, and her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all, he says. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. If you notice the phrase that kept coming up, it comes up all throughout the Proverbs. It's the fear of the Lord. And the fear of the Lord is not something that we just take on today as mothers, or that mothers should be concerned about. It's actually for every believer. And it's something that's not talked about in many sermons these days. But in this context of a woman that is going to be virtuous, what is it that causes us to be virtuous as individuals? Is living our life out every day knowing that the Lord sees everything that we do. And it's not that we clean up our act so he doesn't feel, get mad at us or want to condemn us. It's because we realize that he is the one that bought us with a price. He is God, and we are not. He is holy. And to understand everything that he has done for us and who he is and the power that he possesses should cause us to hold him in reverence and awe. And when we hold the Lord in reverence and awe, it changes how we live our lives. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, is the beginning of wisdom. And this woman that Lemuel's mother is trying to go, okay, this is what you need to shoot for in a wife. And eventually the mother of your children, future kings, needs to fear the Lord. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, men, we need to fear the Lord. Even more so because it's up to us. It's our responsibility to lead our wives. A woman of such character and wisdom rightfully receives the blessings and praises of her family. Both her children and her husband not only see, but also speak the blessedness of the woman who brings such blessing to their household. This is not only a description of a virtuous wife, but also an exhortation to children and a husband to bless and praise the mother and wife of godly character. These are the words of the husband as he praises his wife with words that encourage and reward and nourish her. By the way, men, husbands, part of our responsibility as a godly husband is to nourish our wives. You think about what it takes to nourish a plant. A plant needs certain things to thrive, to grow, to bloom, to grow fruit, right? It's partly our responsibility, greatly our responsibility, to give our wives the nourishment that they need for their lives to be able to flourish and bloom and grow fruit. And I would say spiritual fruit. Nourishing them is not giving them everything that they want, right? That would be appeasement. And most women would see that as insulting. Nourishing our wives means that we know them, we understand them, we understand their needs, and we work and we sacrifice to make sure that they have what they need. Not sure where I am in my notes now. Every once in a while, God gives me something, and it just kind of derails my thoughts here. Yet we perfectly understand this sense. Every home can have a wife and a mother that does surpass them all. Every husband can legitimately feel, I've got the best wife ever, and the children feel and say, I have the best mom. And I hope that that's where you're at today. Not all of us can say that, but I hope that that's where you're at today. King Lemuel's mother noted the passing nature of outer beauty and the deceitful manner for manipulative charm. In contrast, a woman who fears the Lord has beauty that does not pass and charm that does not deceive. Poole on deceitful charm says, because it gives a false representation of the person, being oftentimes a cover to a most deformed soul and too many evil and hateful qualities. Proverbs begins with a strong connection between wisdom and the fear of the Lord in Proverbs 1:7. Here the collection ends describing the virtuous wife as filled with wisdom, beauty, and charm that marks a woman who fears the Lord. The fact that she truly fears the Lord shows that she had a real relationship with Him. She was not only a Martha, busy with service, she was also a Mary, walking in fear and reverence toward the Lord. She, the woman who fears the Lord, has the character of the virtuous wife. The way the character is expressed will differ according to time and culture, but the character itself is universal. God honors the virtuous wife, the woman of wisdom and diligence, and makes her one of the greatest blessings given to humanity. This phrase, give her the fruit of her hands, the virtuous woman will be rewarded by the God she fears and rewarded by what she has accomplished for her family and herself as they publicly speak of her goodness and wisdom. For the woman and man of wisdom, this reward is not their primary motivation, but the fitting result of their life lived in fear of the Lord. Even as I read this and studied this passage this week, I couldn't help but think about my own wife, who's sitting in the back. I like to embarrass her. I don't know if you caught on to that, but I don't know. I take it as a kind of a sport sometimes. But I also think about my own mother. Each different in their own way, but both that almost got ugly. Both diligent, faithful, wise, and hardworking. Both walking in the fear of the Lord, working and laboring compassionately, providing for and nurturing their children, and being a blessing to their husbands. I have an advantage up here today because I get to honor her and my mom as well publicly with a microphone, which may seem like a really big deal. But it's more important for you to take your wife or your mom aside and appreciate them privately too. I encourage you to do that today if you have the opportunity. I realize not everybody here has the opportunity.